Good day, Sir Jason and my fellow teachers. This is Group 3 from MAELT, and we're going to discuss about the methodology of our study, comparative lexical nativization in borrowed Spanish terms in the literary context across Cebuano, Visayan, Boholano, and Iskayan languages. So I hope that you will listen to the methodology of our qualitative study brought to you by our group. To give you the context, literature is part of one's culture, and with our Visayan dialect, we have different variants: Cebuano Visayan, Boholano Visayan, and we have Iskayan. It is a tribe located in Bohol. That's why this study aims to compare the lexical nativization and using these Spanish loanwords in the literary context across the aforementioned languages. So, the rest of the methodology will be discussed by my co-members. So, let us listen to them. Thank you.
Good day, Sir Jason and fellow teammates. I am Wendy D. Parinasan, and I am going to discuss the research design and the sources of data. So this study employs a qualitative comparative research design to explore the lexical nativization in borrowed Spanish terms within the literary context of three languages, which are the Cebuano Visayan, Boholano, and Iskayan. So this framework is particularly suited for our research because it allows us to focus on understanding the deep, nuanced ways in which these languages have integrated and adopted Spanish lexical items over time. So the choice of qualitative design enables us to gather detailed, rich data that can uncover the subtle cultural and linguistic processes involved in this adaptation. So instead of simply counting or measuring words, we will look closely at how these borrowed terms are used in context which reflects both the aesthetic choices of the writers and the cultural dynamics of the speakers. So this will help us identify how languages shifts occur in response to the external influences like Spanish colonial history, and how these influences are processed through local cultural lenses. So by using comparative analysis, we will examine similarities and differences in the way each of the three languages, the Cebuano Visayan, Boholano, and Iskayan, that have incorporated Spanish terms. So this comparison will shed light on any unique adaptations or shared patterns, allowing us to understand not only individual language evolution, but also broader trends in linguistic interactions. So focusing on literary text allows us to capture this lexical adaptation in context. Literary works often reflect in not just the functional use of language, but also the aesthetic and cultural values of the time. Next is the sources of data. The primary sources of data for this study will be literary texts from the three languages, which are the Cebuano Visayan, Boholano Visayan, and the Iskayan, with a specific focus on those that include borrowed Spanish words. So these texts will be selected based on their prominence and relevance in the respective cultural and linguistic communities. So the chosen text will consist of epics, songs, and short stories, as these forms of literature are rich in linguistic features and may offer valuable insights into the integration of borrowed Spanish words into the languages. So the selection of these texts will be based on the researcher's judgment, considering their cultural significance and their potential to reveal linguistic influences. So the selection of this, or in addition to these primary sources, are the secondary data that will be gathered from related studies, academic articles, and online resources. So these sources will provide contextual background, theoretical frameworks, and previous findings relevant to the study of borrowed Spanish words in these languages, offering a broader understanding of the topic. Interviews with native speakers of Cebuano, Visayan, Boholano, and Iskayan will also be conducted to gather first-hand insights on how borrowed Spanish words are used and understood in everyday language, and particularly in literary contexts. So the inclusion criteria for interview participants will be native speakers of these languages, individuals who are familiar with Spanish-derived words in their language, and those who actively engage with literary texts in their native tongue. And this will ensure that the interviewees have the necessary linguistic and cultural background to contribute meaningfully to the study. And the exclusion criteria will focus on non-native speakers of the target languages, so as well as the individuals who have little or no exposure to or interest in literary contexts, as their responses may not reflect the specific linguistic dynamics that the study seeks to explore. Through this combination or primary literary texts, secondary research, and interviews with native speakers, the study will gather both qualitative and contextual data to comprehensively analyze the role and significance of Spanish or the borrowed Spanish words in Cebuano, Visayan, Boholano, and Iskayan languages.
Now, after knowing the sources of data, we have to know the data collection methods. And in our case, we have two main methods. These are the document analysis and the semi-structured interviews. The document analysis is that these are the study of the literary texts that we're going to include in our study. These are the epics, songs, poems, or short stories in order to identify their morphemic structures, phonological adaptations, and semantic shifts of the Spanish borrowed terms. And we have a criteria for selecting these document analysis, which will be revealed later in the process, and also which was revealed in the sources of data. And then to support the study's outcomes or our analysis, we are planning to conduct semi-structured interviews from language experts and for the native speakers of the languages involved in our study. And our researcher's role, we will do the thematic coding and comparative analysis to uncover linguistic and cultural patterns. And in result, we'll have an in-depth analysis of these Spanish loanwords. So again, our methods are document analysis and the semi-structured interviews. Now, as for the data gathering process, it is divided into three major steps or phases. We have the phase 1, the text selection, phase 2, data extraction, and phase 3, comparative framework application. And in our case, we will adopt Wainwright's model of framework application, comparative framework, because he modeled the comparison using the three major factors included in our study. So the phase 1 will begin with text selection. We will select the relevant literary texts among epics, songs, poems, and short stories in 3 languages, and the researchers will focus on the Spanish terms that are in the literature. And these Spanish terms will be carefully selected by the researchers, of course, with the help of the experts. Next, we have the data extraction. This is a selection of the Spanish loanwords already. We're going to list it, and we're going to focus on the comparison of phonological changes, morphological changes, and semantic changes. So for the phonological changes, the change of the substitutions, adaptations of sounds from V to B, Z to S, like that. Then morphological changes is the change of the structure, such as affixation, reduplication, or simplification. And then the semantic change is analysis of what is retained, expanded, or culturally reinterpreted meanings, or different meanings of a certain word that are adapted into 3 languages, how they are used in the literature. Now, for the comparative framework, Wainwright model, we actually have a sample here of how are we going to adopt it, or how are we going to apply it in our study. It consists of Spanish term column, the Cebuano Visayan column, Boholano Visayan column, Iskayan column, phonological changes, morphological changes, semantic changes, and their Spanish term column again. This is just a repeated one. And the rows are the Spanish terms that we have found in the literature, and we're going to compare them one by one. Then that's it for the phase 3 of our data gathering process. But again, for verification, we will consult native speakers and experts to solidify the results of our study. Next will be the ethical considerations.
Good morning, everyone. My topic is all about ethical considerations. The study will follow the highest ethical standards, ensuring research integrity and the protection of participants. For language experts, informed consent will be obtained, and they will be fully discussed on the study's objectives and their rights, including the option not to participate in the study. Confidentiality of participants will be ensured, keeping their data private and used for studies purpose only. Original authors and cultural context will be properly cited and attributed. Ensuring respect and intellectual and cultural heritage, the study will be adheres with institutional ethical guidelines and safeguards against bias through transparent methods and objectives analysis. Thank you.
And that wraps our methodology of our study. I hope we have delivered our presentation clearly and effectively, sir. And we would like to take this opportunity to thank you for being our instructor in this subject, for making this subject a chef's kiss. It's because we have learned a lot from you. Thank you for guiding us all throughout the crafting of our research. We have learned new insights, and then we have also unlearned things because of what we have learned from you. Again, sir, thank you so much for bringing a substantial learning to us, the master students, and hopefully we will see you soon, and good luck to your future endeavors. Thank you so much.